Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night Shogun versus Smith. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight pick, or our first fight on the card. So in our first fight on the card, we have in the lightweight division. So I can't say this guy's name. I don't really know how to say it, so I'm going to say Nasrat, that's his name, versus Mark Diakase. Nasrat 0-1 in the UFC. Young guy like 22. Pretty talented, pretty well-rounded, but nothing spectacular. Mark Diakase, I think he's 2-2 in the UFC, came in the UFC with two impressive performances, then lost two fights back-to-back. A lot of talent, one of the most athletic people in the division, one of the fastest people in the division, one of the most explosive people in the division, a lot of striking talent, a lot of creativity. So in this fighting, grappling is going to be roughly around the same. Now that we got a couple TKO wins on his record, grappling roughly around the same. Striking, I think Diakase is a much better striker. I think the wrestling, it's not going to be too much grappling involved in this fight. It's going to be some, but it's going to really neutralize each other both ways. But I just think Diakase might actually be the better grappler in this fight, but just by a slight margin, at least for how their styles play out. But I don't think this fight going to play out too much. I think it's going to be a bit of a filling out process, a little bit of testing each other out. And I think Diakase is going to just find his mark and just take Nasrat out. So in this fight, I have Mark Diakase via first round TKO. Then on to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Danny Roberts versus David Zawada. David Zawada is a veteran of KSW. A lot of steroid use, a lot of juicing up going on in that league, I think. So who knows how he'll look when they kind of shrink wrap him and bring him into the UFC. Still not impressed with his resume. He got a couple TKO wins, but who has he beat? You got Danny Roberts, pretty decent resume in the UFC. A technical striker, good foot movement, good boxing, solid fighter. Not the best chin, so that might be Zawada's best chance, or to try to test his durability. But technical wise, I think Danny Roberts is going to be too much. So in this fight, I'm going to get straight to the chase and say Danny Roberts via decision, striking match. So again, Danny Roberts via decision. Then on to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Marcin Tybura versus Stefan Struve. So Stefan Struve, been in the UFC for a long time. I still don't think he's like 31 now, but he's been in the UFC forever. He's been in the UFC since he was like 20, 21, so been in for a minute. He definitely has a track record. Talented with the jiu-jitsu, long, lanky, but gets stopped a lot via TKO, so you kind of know what his weaknesses are. Marcin Tybura has been in the UFC recently, I think about 2 or 3 years. Solid fighter, pretty good striking, decent power. His best attribute, I would say, is like actually how quick he could get his kicks up. Like he could get a head kick right out of there, set up combinations, and drop that head kick right on top of your chin. Right on top of your head. He's very quick with that head kick. That's the most impressive thing for me, in my opinion. I think he's like 6'4", pretty big dude, and he could get his leg up high real quick. But against Stefan Struve, that's a test right there. You gotta get your foot up to 7 feet tall. To the 7 foot range real quick, or 6'11". So that's gonna be kind of hard in that fight. I think Stefan Struve matches up with him pretty well. I think height wise helps him a bit because the head kick is gonna be harder to land. Even though Stefan Struve might give it to him, striking wise, I think their striking is actually relatively even. I think Stefan Struve's height gonna help him out a bit, help him control the range a little bit. Even though Stefan Struve's not really known for that, I think it's still gonna help him big. Because not like Marcin Tybura is necessarily a pressuring type of fighter. He likes to keep a bit of distance as well. So that's gonna help Stefan Struve out. Grappling wise, I give a significant advantage to Stefan Struve. So this fight I think is gonna play out. It's gonna be a pretty competitive fight throughout. But I think down the stretch, when they start getting sweaty, getting tired after having a hard-fought fight, I think Stefan Struve is going to capitalize, hurt Tybura. Tybura is going to initiate a grappling exchange. Then Stefan Struve will take full advantage and submit Tybura. So in this fight, I have Stefan Struve via 4th round submission. Then on to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Vitor Miranda versus newcomer Abu Azaitar. So Vitor Miranda, definitely a lot of experience. He's one of the not the most experienced, but he's definitely experienced in age-wise. He might have experience in Muay Thai, but in MMA, still not the biggest, longest resume, but he's been in UFC for a couple years. Abu Azaitar is a newcomer. But Vitor Miranda is like 39, like pushing 40. Abu Azaitar is like 31, so Abu Azaitar is close to his prime. I think they're both pretty technical strikers. Abu Azaitar seemed like he was a finisher more early on in his career, then kind of turned into a more technical, more decisions, victories, and what's called knockouts and TKOs and stuff. So, but to get just to cut straight to the chase, I think they're both strikers by trade, and I think it's gonna play out for Abu Azaitar because he's a younger fighter, the hungrier fighter. I think Vitor Miranda wants to be around, but I think he's closer to the door than he is to the to anything else. He's to the door of his career, or at least his career in the UFC. And I think he's almost looking out right now. He's gonna probably come in hungry, but I think his body can't keep up with his hunger. I think he kind of gets phased as the fight goes on. Doesn't have never had the best gas tank as far as I've seen him in the UFC. And he got Azatar gonna be able to push the same pace the whole fight, kind of break him down. I think the younger technique is about even, but Azatar being a younger, hungrier fighter is gonna help carry him to a decision. He's gonna be able to push the pace longer and win the decision in a pretty decent fight, pretty decent striking matchup. But in this fight, I'm gonna have to go with Azatar via decision. Then on to our co-main event, we have in the light heavyweight division, Glover Teixeira versus Corey Anderson. So Corey Anderson, a lot of people sleep on him, a lot of people don't give him credit, but he's a very talented fighter, still pretty young, good wrestler, good cardio, not the best chin, striking coming along well, still really not a power puncher, or really don't have that much power behind his punches, but all around he's becoming a pretty solid fighter and a huge threat. But I think this Glover Teixeira fight is definitely a bad stylistic matchup for him. Glover Teixeira has decent enough wrestling defense, somebody that's hard to wrestle. He's like a rock. So he pretty much almost a lot of times had to deal with standing with Glover Teixeira. And Corey Anderson really doesn't have the power to hurt Glover Teixeira. And Glover Teixeira has more than enough power to hurt Corey Anderson. And that's usually where Corey Anderson gets hurt. He on the feet, somebody catch him. It's like fight over, night. Corey Anderson's done. And he's coming in on short notice, which is also bad for him because he didn't get a full camp to train for him. It's not like Glover Teixeira really had to train for much for him. All he had to do is kind of sprawl a little bit, strike with him. That's his path to victory. He could even submit him as well. It's not like Glover Teixeira can't wrestle. Glover Teixeira has pretty solid wrestling, and he has pretty top-notch jiu-jitsu as well. If he gets you down, he can certainly submit just about anyone in the division if he gets on top of you. So, like, Glover Teixeira has more ways to win than Corey Anderson in this fight. I think it's going to be a little bit of filling out process, a little bit of grappling, some strikes exchange. I think everything Glover Teixeira is going to be doing, going to be hurting Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson going to be kind of trying to keep that distance, kind of jab him up and trying to go desperately for these takedowns. I think Glover Teixeira basically is going to wear him out. He's not going to wear him out with cardio because Corey Anderson got more than enough cardio than just about anyone in the sport. So Corey Anderson definitely had a cardio, but I think Glover Teixeira is going to wear his body down, going to make sure every shot he hits him with hurts him, every shot he hits him with slows him down, and then pretty much make Corey Anderson kind of fade out. Then he's going to initiate the grappling, I think, like around the second round, take Corey Anderson down or reverse something, end up on top of Corey Anderson, and pound him out to a TKO. So in this fight, I have Glover Teixeira via second round TKO. Then on to our main event, we have in the light heavyweight division, Mauricio Rua, Shogun Rua. So let's just say Shogun Rua. That's why I know him more. I don't really never call him Mauricio Rua. I call him Shogun. Shogun, the legend, versus Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith seemed like to be like a journeyman for most of his career, but still a very young dude. Seems like he's coming into his own now that he's been in UFC, got a couple wins. He do got maybe one or two losses in the UFC. I think it's maybe just one, but he's certainly in the best part of his career right now. Looking dangerous, long, got dangerous elbows, dangerous knees, got a little bit of power to him. And he always has the chance to catch you at any point in the fight. So definitely a dangerous fighter to watch out for. Shogun, like I said, legend 10 times over. From Shudo Box, Pride, middleweight tournament champion, UFC champion, dangerous Muay Thai. He will fight you until you stop him. He has that old MMA style where he'll fight to the death, basically. Until you put him out, he will keep fighting you unless you tap him out, knock him out, doctor stop it. He will fight you to the end. So it's no quitting Shogun. I think Shogun is definitely gonna be typical Shogun, but he definitely isn't the Shogun of his prime. He's on the best winning streak he probably had in the UFC as far as just consecutive wins, but it's definitely not the Shogun like that was in his prime, like when people were scared of Shogun and Shogun was so infamous. This seemed like just a Shogun that's still around, but it's definitely not the Shogun of old. And I think that's going to really what this fight going to be like. I think Shogun's definitely going to be wanting to do a lot of stuff. He's going to definitely try to push the pace. Definitely going to make this fight hard, come aggressive. Be trying to hit Anthony Smith with all these hard shots. It's going to be a back and forth kind of a brawl, fireworks. Not fireworks, but like hard shots been drawn back and forth. Anthony Smith firing body shots. Shogun trying to come over the top with hooks and head kicks, trying to do hard leg kicks. But I think Anthony Smith just going to be too long, too young, too strong. It's going to catch Shogun at some point in the fight. And Shogun's body not going to be able to respond like it used to respond. And the fight's going to be over. I think it's going to happen around the second round. I don't think this fight's going to go 5 rounds. I think it's going to happen around the second round. Shogun just going to get caught after a pretty exciting fight. But Shogun going to get caught. And this fight's going to be called off. I see Anthony Smith via second round TKO. So that concludes my fight predictions for UFC Fight Night, Shogun versus Smith. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.